Try not to trip on the fragments of silicon.
All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon. About the closest thing to a holiday edition that we're going to get to, because this is our last regular broadcast until next year. Anyway, joining me as always are Donner and Blitzen, or as you know them, Petty Fan and the Golics.
I demand Blitzen.
Okay.
Anyway, right, so let's get to the holiday news, if there is any. Petty, why don't you start us off?
Well, I guess a bit of a show note. Currently, we're in a high wind advisory, so if the stream suddenly goes offline, assume I lost power and/or internet. And yeah, somebody's gonna probably have to take over streaming because I don't know when my internet would be back if it does go out.
Golics, be at the ready then. Yes.
I can try, but I don't think I've even updated OBS in.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. Hopefully, Petty Fan doesn't disappear, or we're probably not getting back on air.
Yeah, or at least holds out till after the main broadcast.
Anyway,
as far as other life things, my collector's edition stuff for Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker came in, and the statue is freaking beautiful.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that on Sunday.
Yeah, this... It was a little expensive, but at the same time, I also don't get that many, good figures.
Fair.
So, it can sit on...
How much was the package?
Including the game was close to $200.
Better be good at that price.
Well, it also has some other stuff in there. It has like a pin, art prints, and like a Loprit keychain type thing.
Right.
I also finished the story for Endwalker last night, and oh god, that was a ride. Yeah, that... Oh, damn. One of those I definitely wish I could have, had time to actually stream it, but with how, the servers are, I literally got kicked out of twice and spent over an hour getting back in to the game, so wouldn't make for very...
And another reason to hate Activision.
Activision?
Like a lot of WoW players have migrated to Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
That's a big reason why the servers are stretched beyond capacity.
The servers are crying for the sweet release of death.
Yeah.
Still been playing through Pokemon Diamond. I haven't really been progressing with the plot much, just been kind of piddling around in the Grand Underground, getting, various Pokemon you can't get normally.
It's really easy to get stuck in that in Sinnoh.
Especially because I like that I can actually see the Pokemon down there. Like, I much prefer that going forward, is being able to actually, see where the Pokemon are and, dodge them, as opposed to the sometimes shit encounter rates. Like, literally, there were a couple times on the main map that I couldn't even move a tile before it would initiate another encounter.
Yeah, some people complained about how easy it was to avoid random encounters in Sword and Shield, but it's
Brilliant
called
Diamond.
quality of life.
Yeah, that is definitely a quality of life thing, because good lord. I also have Monster Hunter Rise, but because of Pokemon, I haven't really put a whole lot of time into that. It's something I guess I can look into doing while we're on break.
Yeah.
And I should be done with all my Christmas shopping this year, hopefully. And yeah, the only other big thing is my mom's surgery is tomorrow, and she's being insufferable as hell.
Oh, isn't that new and different?
Yeah, like she's literally trying to get sympathy from her two disabled children who have dealt with chronic pain all their lives.
I'm like, she's going to be waiting a long time from what I'm getting here.
Yep. But yeah, I think that's it from me. So I guess
Alright.
next victim.
Alex?
Well, I survived my brush with COVID. Got negative results in time to get my booster and decided to do the family Christmas thing, which I survived, but I definitely needed the day off that I took after it. It was nice that since we made it shorter this year, so it was less of an issue than it would have been. Nothing particularly new in video game aside from, I guess they finally revealed that also in English, Amazon, in the English version of Legends Arceus, Amazon is giving away the Garchomp outfit as a free pre-order thing. So I finally decided to pre-order that from Amazon instead of somewhere else.
Is there any other pre-order things from other companies, or is it just Amazon that has the bonus?
I think it's just Amazon, and they're also getting like two to four anime episodes featuring time travel with the protagonists in that outfit, so that are timed exclusives to Amazon Prime.
Oh,
whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, apparently Amazon paid significantly for this thing.
Which is funny because Netflix has most of the Pokemon anime stuff.
Anyway. But yeah, also conveniently, the thing I got for Christmas at Family Christmas was a Amazon gift card, so that helped. Yeah, other than that, not really a whole lot. Mostly just trying to adjust back to life being normal. Ish. Apparently everybody else from my RPG group also tested negative, and the guy who was exposed, that I was exposed to, has tested negative since then, so
this is good.
We're even probably going to be starting up again soon, although I'm going to be definitely bringing a mask.
Have you gotten your booster yet?
Yeah, I got that on Friday.
I need to do that at some point.
I need to wait until at least next month, since they said 8 months, and it's not been 8 months yet.
See, they're saying 6 now. It's been like 7 months for me, so I figured it was okay. The doctor said it was okay, so I got that and a flu shot at the same time, and no side effects aside from sore arms. So
it's good.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's about it.
All right. I guess it's my go. Let's see. Holiday shopping's mostly taken care of. Just need to get the mother's Christmas card, just coming next week. Amazon shipping is always a bit delayed because pandemic, holiday, yada yada yada. Like, And let me see. Sunday, I'm going down to my brother's because it's my nephew's birthday. I wish I could say I look forward to those, but their kids are, let's just say, bundles of energy upon bundles of energy. I'm not necessarily saying they're bad kids or anything. It's just they have behavioral problems, let's say. Anyway, let's see. On the gaming front, back to Final Fantasy V after completing the last obligations for the show for the year. I was playing some other games for the cooldown because trying to master all the jobs, that's a lot of grinding. Like, let's see. In MSP news, we actually have quite a bit of that. As I don't know, Mac just decided to start things up a few days ago, and floodgates have been opened. Guests are being plotted. The next season 14, is being charted out at this stage in order to make sure we have enough time to have guests and everything is prepared. Things seem to be going smoothly so far. And we do have a date for when season 14 will be premiering, and that is February 23rd. So apparently, like, Mac wanted to do the new season when his birthday, coinciding with his birthday. Like, okay.
Never helps them feel good.
Yeah. I mean, season 16 of this show will have started by then, a week earlier. And on that note, it is the new season of MSP will be premiering after this program. The old last news desk time slot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm presuming Mac is going to have it on his Twitch page. But I don't think we've actually clarified that. Like, I know, it could be on his YouTube as well. Like, I don't know. It's been less of a priority than gathering guests. And I'm pleased to say that we've got our season premiere already booked. Our good friend Charles Chuck Sonnenberg of SF Debris has agreed to be coming back on the program. I don't even know how many years it's been.
Is he also in line for the free Sunday?
He's been on our show a lot. He was on a regular fixture back in the Talk Shoe era. Like, trying to see if we can get Linkara for that, and also next week another fixture from the old days. Haven't heard back, but he might be editing a video.
The editing den.
In fact, I'm pretty sure he is because he hasn't put out a video yet. Like, so anyway, things are trucking along in that direction. And yeah, I think that's about it for my news. So merrily we shall roll along to the interview portion of the broadcast, and joining us is John Pickett of MangaGamer once again.
Hello, it's always good to be back.
Indeed. So how's your holiday plans going?
They're going pretty well. We're actually having a party with some friends this Saturday. For me and my wife at MangaGamer. We're actually in the middle of our 12 days of VN sales right now, where we're having a different flash sale on different products each day of the 12 days. We're currently on day 5, I believe, and we'll have a big chance at the end where the last day everyone can get all the games that have been on sale. So,
is that culminating on Christmas Day?
No, the last day is going to be on the 22nd. We kind of timed that so that because most of our staff are taking off for the holidays too.
Fair enough. Like, I'm like, and I suppose I should ask, what is on sale for this? Not necessarily advent calendar thing, but you know.
So the one that's on sale today is Eternal Torment. We've been announcing the titles each day. Yesterday it was Maidens of Michael. Before that it was Arage. We also had No Thank You on sale already, as well as Nyan Cafe, and we have 7 more to come.
Yeah. And is this happening on just your website, or is your Steam titles being included in this as well?
This is just happening on our website.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, there'll be obviously Steam's gonna have their winter sale later on.
Right. Usually around a few days before Christmas Eve, if I'm remembering, or
Yeah, that's usually when it is.
yeah.
Is right around there.
Right.
I don't think they've actually announced the specific dates for it yet. So
They usually don't. Like,
yeah.
it just kind of shows up.
Yep.
Anyway, I suppose we should get into the games, and I guess our first title up is Horny Elves and the Moral Orc.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a title. Like,
Yeah. So this is Horny Elves and a Moral Orc is it's actually an eroge adaptation of what is both a manga and a YouTube series by the artist Tomokichi.
I was gonna say, how old is this? Because this is like practically a inversion subgenre of an entire genre of like.
I don't remember exactly when he published like the full book of the manga series. It's because I know it's a gag series that he's been doing for a while, where it's like each YouTube video or each manga strip is kind of like not necessarily specifically 4 panels, but they're that kind of set up a joke, run a sketch, and like have it close up. And obviously the running gag is that in the original series there's only the one elf, which is the blonde elf, Mishla. She's the only one from the original. Amy is the new elf that is exclusive to this eroge adaptation that was created by Waffle, which is the same studio that made Funbag Fantasy. So yeah, in the original series, she's just thirsty as crap for the orc, and so most of the gags are just gag after gag of her like trying to convince him to have sex with her, even though he will die if he does.
is it a 4 coma?
It basically runs like one, but I don't think it specifically limits itself to 4 panels.
Okay. And how long has the series been running?
It's been around for a few years. How long is it? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. Is it still ongoing?
Yeah. I mean, the artist is still active on Twitter. He still posts new content to the YouTube channel every now and then.
So it's still going, but slowed down a bit from what I'm gathering here.
Yeah. Like I don't think it's like a weekly. It's not like a weekly updated series, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. And in this adaptation, is it just like taking the general premise, the characters, and transposing it to a visual novel, or is it like a more direct adaptation of some of the manga? I hesitate to use the word storylines, but gags or stuff that they saw in the manga or the YouTube series.
Yeah, so this eroge adaptation, it is its own original story, its own original storyline. Obviously, it has its own original character, as well as the, two characters that people would be familiar with from the series. But it is, for the eroge visual novel, they created their its own running storyline, but it still follows in the themes of the original series, where it's a lot of different gags. Both elves want very desperately to have sex with the orc, who will die if he does.
Okay.
And why is that? I thought it was just that the point was just that the orc is like not into that.
So in the world of horny elves and moral orcs, once upon a time, there were elves and orcs everywhere, and orcs behaved as they stereotypically do in most fantasy stories, where they would go around raiding, raping, pillaging, and this has left, and so because of that, there was a very long war between the elves and the orcs, and the goddess of the world decided to punish them and basically destroyed all the orcs, except for the protagonist of this series, who, unlike the rest of orc civilization, basically lived an aesthetic lifestyle out by himself in the wood, in a cabin in the woods, and he made a vow to the goddess that he would, never, act act indecently as his fellow orcs did. That he would never, assault elf ever. And so, because he made this vow to the goddess, she allowed him to live when she wiped out all the rest of the orcs. And so for elves in this world, orcs and their sexual prowess, let's say, has become literally the thing of legends. And so all these elves, so the two elves that find this ascetic orc believe all the legends and fantasies, and are just filled with thoughts of like, oh my god, how great is sex with this thing going to be? It's so wrong, but I want it so bad. And so they are like desperately trying to seduce him so that he will do as the orcs in legend were known to do, and he wants nothing to do with it, because if he breaks his vow to the goddess, he will also die.
Okay, I thought there were. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that there is more backstory than the essential amount.
Right. Some of that does show up in the opening narration, though not all of it. I guess some of that is further along in the novel. Anyway.
Yeah.
So do you have any insight as to why an extra elf was added to this visual novel?
I assume it was to flesh it out, because they each elf has their own route. So I assume it's just kind of to flesh it out and make it more more original to Waffle, the people that developed this eroge adaptation.
I could see it, though it's a bit of an odd choice going with just two. Maybe I'm just played too many visual novels and used to having 3 or 4 options, or maybe just the one option if it's purely narrative. But they do them.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it allows them to go deeper into the two characters for one, and it helps focus on the the story and the gags between the two different ones and what each of their personalities brings to it.
Right, and the elf girls are sisters, right?
No, they are not.
Okay, that's actually a bit surprising. I,
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. You're right.
yeah, I was about to say,
No, they are sisters. Yeah,
I was pretty.
they are sisters.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I'm like, are they meant to be twin sisters, or like one is older than the other?
The Amy is the younger sister,
Okay, and I
and
suppose,
Mishla, which is the elf from the original series, is considered the older sister in this adaptation.
yeah. And what are the personality differences?
So, I mean, Mishla pretty much retains her personality from the original comics, where she's very lewd and desperate to get with the orc. Amy is very much more focused on her sister and trying to quote unquote protect her from the orc.
Mhm.
But she can occasionally come up with sort of twisted or kinky ideas to go about that.
I can imagine. And I suppose in terms of roots and everything, and given the general premise of the overall franchise, are there roots that will allow the moral orc here to, well, there's no really delicate way to put it, fuck one of the elves and thus die?
So in the actual game itself, basically the orc dies over and over and over and over and over. It's basically like sort of the running story loop is they manage to get him into some kind of compromising position where they get him to come inside him, and he dies, and then like the goddess speaks to his soul and is like, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with these elves? And then will like give him a skill and rewind time a few minutes so that he can then like get them off and stop them without like ejaculating inside them, and then the story will continue from there to the next event. And that's kind of the running gag loop in the Aragay.
Okay. And on that note, I'm like, what would constitute a happy ending in this situation? Like, because I guess like not fucking the elf girl. Like,
well, that's something for the players to find out.
Yeah, I guess so. Jeez. Like, anyway, now in terms of like the actual visual novel design here, do you make choices?
Yeah, there's the occasional choice, and that kind of determines the branching.
Right. And I guess along those lines, is there any sort of affection meter?
I think there is, but obviously it's kind of in the background.
Makes sense. Given, like, romance seems to be secondary or maybe tertiary to the whole affair or affairs.
Yeah, this is a game where the comedy aspect and the sexy aspect are at the fore.
It certainly displays that.
Yeah, I would say this game is probably like comedy first, sex second.
Yeah. Wouldn't the like the Funbag fantasy games like that too?
The Funbag fantasy games, they do have a lot of sex, but they're very story centric actually.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Right then. Anyway, moving ahead. Another title that got recently released is Love Suites.
Mm-hmm.
And what is this visual novel?
So Love Suites is by Moonstone. It is this one is more of your stereotypical romantic dating sim. The main protagonist, he's out for summer break, and when he comes back, finds out that all his best buds have landed girlfriends of their own, and so now they're spending all their time with their new girlfriends, and feeling left out, he decides to go look for his own girlfriend by working at this cafe where there's lots of pretty women that work there.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing that place is called the Love Suites.
It's actually Cafe Hot Chocolat.
Oh, surprising. Once again, kind of used to like title and maybe workplace being related, but I'm like, anyway. So, how many, let's say, girls are available in terms of romantic options?
There are 5 different main heroines that you can date and pursue romantically.
And who are they and what are their personalities?
So there is Kanai Otonashi. She's sort of the honor student at the academy. Typical great grades, beautiful woman. She dreams of becoming a pâtissière, and so she's working at the cafe to save up money. There's Yui Ichinose, who is the childhood friend of the protagonist, and there's kind of a bit of a joke there that part of the reason why the main protagonist of Love Suites hasn't found a girlfriend is because of how close the two of them are as friends. And then there is Kushina Otonashi, who she lives in the school dorms, and she has sort of a dialect. She's Kanai's cousin. Kushina also, she's a bit of an otaku, likes anime and manga. The 4th girl is Minamo Enjo. She's the one sort of in charge of training the employees at the cafe, and she tends to act more of a mature woman. So she's a bit of the kind of that older sister type. She also has the chest to show for it. And then the last protagonist is Iori Futami, which is the protagonist's sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I suppose the most pertinent question that people might be asking: how lewd does this particular title get?
It does have plenty of adult content.
Mm-hmm.
So there's plenty of slice of life, dating, and romance, but there's also a good amount of enjoying the relationships once you've built them up.
Okay. And in terms of building up the relationships, is that done through pure dialogue choices, or do you have to buy gifts?
I believe it's done through choices.
Yeah. Fair enough. And is it just the 5 routes, or is there a 6th true ending?
I believe it's just the 5 routes.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, this one seems a bit more standard visual novel fare than the Moral Orc. Like, right. Let's see. So elsewhere, we've got Letters for a Rainy Day, Oceans and Lace.
Those are third-party titles that were added to our website.
I'm assuming that includes Christina Ephemeral Views of Winter.
Believe so. Yes.
Ah.
Yeah. We had with Christmas coming, with the Christmas season coming, we've had quite a bit of third-party releases being added to our website because there are several companies that wanted to get a few different games out in time for the holidays. So
Makes sense. So, I guess that beckons the future then. Have you announced anything for the new year yet?
So we have not quite announced it yet, but we will be opening Trinaline Genesis for pre-order tonight at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And so that will be our next release come January.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else lined up for February?
We have a couple titles in the pipeline. We're currently kind of waiting to see which one's going to finish first to determine which ones we'll put out. But we'll have more news about that when January rolls around.
Fair enough. And let me see here. I suppose that's about it for this session. You guys have any further questions?
I think I'm good.
Since the Elf game has been released on Steam, is there a patch for it on your website? I was checking earlier and it wasn't coming up.
That's because the adult version is available on Steam. We didn't have to cut anything.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So
I was just checking because that's been a thing before.
Just make sure, if you're looking for it on Steam, just make sure you've adjusted your settings so that you're allowed to view adult games, and then you'll be able to find it.
No, it's just been looking for it on your site has been kind of the standard for most of the time we've been interviewing you. So that was where I was looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And yeah, that's about it. So, John, I'm wondering, are you free the first week of March?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see. Looks like March 2nd then.
Okay.
All right. And until then, you can find Horny Elves and the Moral Orc if you are allowed to view that content on both Steam and MangaGamer. And yeah, the Love Sweets game is only MangaGamer. Is that game coming to Steam anytime soon?
No.
All right then.
And it unfortunately, Love Sweets has school uniforms, so Steam's not going to let it, and it's not the kind of game that we can just cut all the adult content out of.
Duly noted. All right. So till March, John, have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you as well.
Mm-hmm. Petty, play us in the next segment. All right, welcome to the topic of discussion. So, until about today, we were angling to talk about the Game Awards 2021. And then, well, breaking news happened and gave me a convenient excuse to not talk about the Game Awards this year because I do really want to talk about the Game Awards. I'm like, if you've listened to this show for, let's say at least a year, my ranting about the Game Awards is about the same every year. It's like, stop trying to be the Oscars. You got too many fucking commercials. It's like you don't emphasize the awards. You're literally rushing through blocks of awards to get to the next goddamn world premiere. Like, not helped by the fact that this year's Game Awards was about 3.5 to 4 hours long, which is like
more hours than it needed to be.
Many more hours than it needed to be, because like even an E3 presser is only goddamn 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and yeah, there was a bunch of stuff that showed up there. Some of it was interesting, much of it was not. Like, but it's like I just also going through a lot of that stuff probably take about 45 minutes in and of itself, because yeah, dear God, there was so much there. And, I just don't want to spend my time doing that. And since, I'm the one who plans the show and all that, if I don't want to talk about it, I don't have to talk about it. Being the planner of these things has its perks. So instead, we are talking about Asmodee and the Embracer Group. This story just broke like about noon. Saw it, I think, on my Twitter feed about when I was having lunch. And I guess first, this is a bit of a weird one because we're kind of entering outside of our usual range here, but kind of not. Because if you know the name Asmodee, you probably know they're into games, but their bread and butter is board games, card games.
Yeah, if you don't know Asmodee, you might know Fantasy Flight Games, Days of Wonder, Euro games, Catan, Carcassonne, Pandemic, the Star Wars X-Wing miniature game. So
Seven Wonders, Jungle Speed, and they've got a lot of stuff to their name. But it's not just the physical board games. Ever since they took over, I think it was Days of Wonder, who we actually interviewed, like back when they were an independent company. If I'm, that was when we got the Ticket to Ride game that we played once, or not this team, the previous one. Like, anyway, the point is they also do digital versions of their board games. They're the ones who put out the digital version of Ticket to Ride, or Carcassonne, or Catan, and so on and so forth. Pandemic, so they are also in video games. So it definitely,
or at least video board games.
It's technically it's a digital adaptation of a board game, but they're fucking video games, okay? Anyway, and Asmodee is not without controversy. Like, no, God, no. Like, I do admit I not super keyed into the board game scene, but Asmodee is kind of the EA of board games. Like, and I mean that in terms of like the reputation. In short, they have a reputation of buying up a lot of companies and shutting them down. Like, I'm trying to, like Fantasy Flight Games comes to mind. Like, let's just say they weren't treated well. In fact, they don't exist anymore. Because, Fantasy Flight Games let's see, they had their video game shut down, and they were hit with a bunch of cuts, and then I think they just stopped existing. Like, as I said, Asmodee is not the most beloved of companies, and apparently one of the biggest sticking points is their god-awful customer service. Now, mind you, I'm just going off of reputation on this one because I haven't dealt with their customer service. Honestly, if anyone here would have done that, it would be Galax. This is more your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I have some of their stuff, but I haven't really needed any consumer support.
Yeah. And yeah, it's also worth noting that they've gotten big through inorganic acquisitions mostly. I mean, they have created their own things. Like their biggest early success was Jungle Speed, which they did make themselves. But they have, like the big purchase that seems to be Days of Wonder. But, that got them into the German-style board game.
Yeah, at the local game store that sells board games, they have a lot of Days of Wonder games.
Ticket to Ride's the big flagship Days of Wonder board game, but not their only one. Like, I'm trying to remember the title of. It's like French. Like, hold on, I'm gonna have to look this up. Because, Memoir 44. That's another big one of theirs, and Small World is another one. Like I said, Ticket to Ride is the flagship. By no means their only title. And that's just from one division. And I guess arguably their biggest quote unquote original, as in, it's not based off of a license, is Catan, or Settlers of Catan.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, that's not something that they created. That is something that they acquired. I think it was first certain rights to certain territories. That's another thing with board games. You don't necessarily have worldwide rights. For example, Spot It or Double. That was certain rights there. Here we go. Asmodee acquired the English language rights to Catan, and then they eventually got the full thing. We could seriously spend a good amount of time just going through all of the games that Asmodee has. It's nothing as brand iconic as Hasbro, except for maybe Catan, except for some of the stuff that they license from either Hasbro or other entities, because they do a lot of licensed stuff as well. They handle Pokemon in France, or they did.
I think they still do.
Yeah, they got the Lord of the Rings adventure card game. The Star Wars X-Wing miniatures game, and so on and so forth. So they've got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies, and they've been bought and sold a couple of times now. Most recently by a French equity firm, who back in September announced that they were looking to sell the business for about 2 billion euros. So it turns out, they are not only going to get that asking price, but they're going to get more, because The Embracer Group, speaking of a many tendrilled inorganic thing, like they have announced that they are seeking to buy Asmodee, or very French business name that I am not going to even attempt to pronounce.
What are we looking at here?
Okay, I guess I'll give it a go. Financier Amuse Topico SAS. Yeah, I probably butchered that badly.
Fair enough. I was thinking you would just paste it in the chat or something.
Yeah, and their current owners are Pi Partners SAS. And yeah, the Embracer Group is looking to make a strategic purchase of Asmodee. And you might be wondering, what makes this a strategic purchase? And the answer is because this is going to be Embracer Group's first large-scale non-core business. Not their first. They've acquired they acquired a PR firm a few cycles ago. They acquired like a Viking clothing brand or something like that. But these have been put under various subsidiaries and generally considered to be small potatoes. Here, Asmodee is like the largest specialty gaming publisher out there. Like, and they are worth, at least in the eyes of Embracer, $2.5 billion. That's not exactly a small purchase. Like, they are seeking to make Asmodee their 9th operational group. And in terms of the structure of Embracer, the operational groups are the top line publishers that, when you mention the Embracer Group, these are the publishers that make up the group. And then you get down into the smaller developers / publishers / subsidiaries of, THQ Nordic, Saber, Koch Media, etc., etc., etc. The Asmodee purchase will put them in that group. Like, yeah, there's a lot of corporate structuring going on here. Like, and apparently nothing is going to change in terms of the organizational structure of Asmodee. And that's been the modus operandi of the Embracer Group, like going back always. Though I'm not sure how well that's going to sit with the fan base, because once again, they're not exactly the most happy people right now. Like, but because once again, a lot of problems. Another one is Asmodee has been very bottom line focused. That's kind of related to the horrible customer service. It's also not helping that board games have taken a hit in the past couple of years because of a little thing called the COVID pandemic. I'm like, once again, Galax here can attest to his not being able to get together with his gaming group.
Oh yeah.
But once again, in Asmodee's case, they've been helped by the fact that they've got Asmodee Digital, which is their publishing brand thing that puts out the digital versions of their games. And once again, that shit's in the house. Unlike, say, Hasbro, which license out Monopoly or Scrabble or Dungeons and Dragons to external developers. They used to have their own internal division, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of financial details attached to this purchase, which are very boring, and very business language like, a example sentence. The healthy profitability of Asmodee is coupled with solid free cash flow generation driven by a CAPEX-like business model and efficient working capital management processes. Like, so basically, they think that Asmodee is going to bring them a lot of cash. And I think I'm not even sure what CAPEX-like business model means. I'm sure I could look it up, but I don't care because I don't have to care. I'm not the one who's hammering out the contractual details and, or involved in it. Anyway, yeah. In case you're wondering how many overall board games Asmodee has, apparently, according to
they have Fantasy Flight games and Days of Wonder. They have a lot.
They've got a number here, 970. That is not a small number. That is a large number. And presumably with this upcoming merger, they are theoretically going to be allowed to put out, let's say, a Red Faction board game, a Kingdoms of Amalur card game. That probably had to be done in collusion with the other branches, but spoiler alert, they work together all the fucking time. So it's probably not going to be much of an issue should they wish to pursue that. And given, the synergistic strategies involved in a lot of mergers and acquisitions, I wouldn't be surprised if we see, a board game of fucking Painkiller, because of that, or Risen. I'm not sure how well they do, because once again, we're not exactly talking about a lot of the sippy top in terms of IP, but they do have some stuff like Gearbox alone, a Borderlands game, a Duke Nukem game. I'm just saying there's a lot of possibilities here for a lot of video games to become board games. And, not much cross promotion in the other direction because, once again, they already got their own in-house digital branch that's been putting out these things for years. So it'll be interesting to see how this all folds out. Because, a bit of a correction to a lot of articles I've been seeing today. No, they haven't purchased the Asmodee Group.
This is just a has-made declaration of intention too.
Exactly. The exclusive declaration at that. Like, which means that
we're going to try to buy them, and nobody else is allowed to try. However, the paperwork will take a long time to file.
Mm-hmm. It looks like they're charting this to be finished in the first or second quarter of the new year, because it's quite the large purchase, and like I said, once again, the press release here is going into a lot of detail in how they're going to finance it, and you have to know what, say, a bridge loan is to understand what's going on here. Again, I could look this up. I don't care to do so. But, I'm like, and the rationale for the Embracer Group in buying Asmodee is they are wishing to diversify their portfolio. Because I think we've touched upon it in a previous Embracer Group topic of discussion, but in terms of video games, they are about as represented as they can get across the entire spectrum of what we consider video games. From the traditional to VR, mobile, pick a video game sector, and they're probably in it in some fashion. As far as I know, that doesn't currently extend to NFTs, but with the way NFT announcements are going, I wouldn't be surprised if one of their fucking branches, looking at you, Gearbox, looking at you, Randy.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm like, it's funny because it's true. Anyway, now, point is, they're looking to get into a new gaming segment. They're not in board games. They wish to be in board games and card games and other physical games along with their digital versions.
Mm-hmm.
And, also this stuff is subject to the antitrust regulations, but I'll be honest, I don't see this being stopped at any junction, because this is actual like vertical integration instead of horizontal integration. For those who are wondering what that means, vertical integration means combining two unlike businesses together. Horizontal integration is when you're combining like businesses.
What? That's not what I heard. Horizontal integration is when you're trying to control more of a market share, and vertical integration is when you're trying to control more steps of the production of your same thing.
Yeah, that is accomplished by buying unlike things or buying like
Fair
things.
enough.
This is the basics here. That's usually the intent. Anyway, point is, this is a big deal. Literally, probably not going to have too much of an effect from the video game sector side of things, but definitely something to keep an eye out in terms of the hobbyist board game sector.
Mm-hmm.
And card games and role-playing games and so on and so forth. Right. And I think that's about it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon, and indeed for the year. We will be back in early January, and we've already made all our show announcements. Generally upcoming, like if you want an exact date, the first Sunday review of the new year will be on January 2nd, if I'm remembering correctly. And we might have some some unplanned or semi-planned or kind of informal things going on during the holiday, but nothing. We are definitely going to do this then outside of a multiplayer showcase of one of the games we've got for the next Sunday review show. And once again, we haven't picked a date for that, and my guess it's probably going to be the Friday before, maybe New Year's. I don't know. We'll see. Outside of that, until 2022, from the cast and crew of Fragments of Silicon, we wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, all the other various winter holidays, and hopefully 2022 finds you in a better position than this year. And we wish you good holiday gaming.